This better be good. Race 2, sprint race, reverse grid time. Top 10 reverse, Ekstrom P10 gets pole, Lammers P9 gets front row dibs as well. And the entertainment of race 1 needs to be either matched or eclipsed. We've had a fantastic weekend of it so far, support categories as well. European guys were here too. And of course, the news of other minor things here and there. I don't think there's much left of the goss between this season ending and the start of season 5 there, Swinny, is there?
Not to my knowledge, no, but you're right to bring up the Euros, because of course they're here as well, and we watched Gianni Liozzi continue his incredible late season charge to the title, he's won several races over the last few rounds, so it looks like it's going to be his and Hyundai's to take on that front.
And that you'll see there'll be some onboard footage some point in the future whilst we focus on the Worlds and the Japanese Championship for now. The onboards have got to round 3 or 4 by now, I think. Front row start, that's four-wheel drive off the line, but BMW and P5 gets as quick a start as it can, up to third already by slicing from left to right, but then back down to fourth, as down to fifth, Fisichella also getting a charge on, as did Webber, but by the time we get to Druids, Ekstrom leads, Fisichella up to second. Okay, it's I was expecting at least Schneider or Webber to put a move on. They haven't. Renault's are still there or thereabouts, so good news for them. Lama's still trying to get P2 back off Fisichella. There we go. All right then. And we have the Sunset to contend with as well. Not going to be staring anyone in the face this way round, but by the time we exit Stirling, it's going to look like that. First half a lap complete, high-speed traffic jam around Hawthorne's Bend.
Yeah, Fisichella really got the best start out of anyone there, going from, 7th place all the way up to 3rd by Druids. Yeah. That was an incredible charge through the field. Ekstrom doing a very good job to hold on to first place, because of course, here is one of the weird quirks about Brands Hatch is you actually want to start in second rather than first here, because first has you going slightly uphill, so it's much more difficult to get a good start from pole position than it is in second place. But Ekstrom has managed that, got himself a gap to second. Lammers once again having to go defensive with an Alfa Romeo behind him this time.
Ingram already up the fifth ahead of Ayalo. Schneider falling back to 7th after a good start. Gasho and Ayalo being the bread there.
Yeah, I'm not overly surprised at Ingram working his way up already, considering where he started in race 1 and where he finished. He's got significantly less cars to overtake this time. Ergo, he'll get there a lot sooner. Thompson rounding out the top 10, just in front of the two privateer Hondas, running nose to tail. They are in the lead of the privateers. Just in front of Kubica and Dumas there.
Almost a reflection of race 1 with the Tamiya twins and the other two privateers, the single entry privateers of Dumas and Kubica. Lama still P2.
Ingram's already
Ingram up to fourth.
Now the question is he going to, well, assuming he overtakes these two cars in front of him, is he going to sit in second place, or is he going to take the full race win and let Ekstrom fend for himself?
We shall wait and see. Already, I mean, it's the Ekstrom with the fastest lap on the timer, but that's off a standing lap. This is where the early indicators of who's going to be quickest, who's going to be bravest. Ingram definitely, as Fisichella kind of sort of dipped out on the apex there, and around the outside went Ingram once again. Fastest lap already, 35.2. We know there's quicker to be had. We know there's grip to be got.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. This track is now very rubbered in after a full day's racing, though on the flip side of that, of course, it is slightly colder, so the track temperature is lower, giving off less grip, so it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Fisichella now fighting off Webber. Side by side into Surtees.
Webber's going to have to go around the long way, but Ingram has proved that it's doable. And there's Aiello ready to pick up the pieces just in case disaster happens.
Almost splintered the two rear-wheel drive cars there. Outside of the Pilgrim's Drop, under the Johnny Hooker Bridge.
Can he close the door before Hawthorne? Not quite. Webber's got a nose in there. But be careful not to shove each other wide, because it's very easily done around here.
On the very rare sight of both Renault and BMW, both cars in the same shot, as Gasho is propping up that pack.
Yeah, Gasho has now got a solid wall of BMW, because he's got both of them going too wide in front of him. Having a little inter-team squabble, they sort it out.
Thompson down to 10th, Wittmann in 9th. There's a rare sight indeed.
Yeah, Wittmann hasn't really managed to make up ground after winning race 1, which has always been the Alfa Romeo's downfall, is struggling in traffic. Fisichella's start notwithstanding.
And Ingram closing in. Lammer's putting Thompson to shame by being P2.
Aiello already all over the back of Fisichella, so I fear this Alfa is going to lose another position before these laps are done. Because Aiello once again has that early race charge mode going on. Just needs to keep it out of the gravel this time. And be careful taking that line out of Graham Hill, because that will get you a driving standards flag. He's got to run. Will he make anything of it or sit behind? He's going to be conservative for now, but further in front, it's now a Volvo 1-2. Lammer's relegated to 3rd place. Still pretty good going. Not for the first time this season have we seen both these Volvos running 1st and 2nd like this.
And towards the business end of the season, Volvo will be incredibly pleased with their performances throughout the year, but this will be the highlight.
Yeah, especially with the hometown hero there in one of those cars. I think the only way that's going to get upset now, aside from any kind of unmitigated disaster like the two of them hitting each other, is going to be in this Renault here, because Aiello moving through the field.
And then almost taking Fisichella off with him. Down the inside of Lammers, up to 3rd, within the matter of 2 turns.
Wasting
2 places.
No time. So it's an entirely yellow and blue podium now.
Which then means I think Ingram might have to pull a defensive on here then. Rather than try to overtake extra. He's going to have to play blocker, I reckon. Because that Renault was flying in race 1. Evidence enough it's flying right now.
Yeah, that's
as is Gasho's car. Down the inside of Schneider, perhaps.
Yeah, that's the good place to be at Hawthorne, though he backs out of it, lets Schneider back through, uses the momentum to keep her position. Takes a lot of curb at Westfield, upsets the car, that's not going to help. It looks like once again Lammers is going to start forming a train behind him like he did in race 1. So whatever little gremlins are affecting that Honda, they have not worked it out, they've not fixed the problem.
Now that glare is bad enough on camera, I can only imagine it's worse for the drivers. Hope they've got the shades on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a lot of them have opted for a tinted visor for this race, so it's not that bad.
And whilst we're normally used to seeing the BMW Alpha 1, 2, 3, 4, we're potentially going to be seeing a Volvo Renault 1, 2, 3, 4 if Gas shows pace is anything to go by. Aiello eclipsing the fastest lap of Ingram.
Yep, so it's coming down.
34.8.
Aiello was on the back of Ingram's Volvo there, going into Paddock Hill. He's backed off a little bit. He needs to be careful, because if he backs off any more, he's going to allow Lammers to start attacking him and bring everybody else with him. He gets a gap there. He can now mount another attack on the Volvos through the Grand Prix loop here. Up into Sheen Curve. A couple of different lines being displayed there. Different entry points into the corner. Kind of yield the same results on exit though.
And a decent strand of cars from as far back as about 10th place there. 9th place.
Kubica here, splitting the Tamiya Honda, so he's overtaken Rydell.
Kobayashi's going to give the Works Honda team a rude awakening, with Thompson holding up Kobayashi by the looks of it. Here's some underdog enjoyment then. Kobayashi on board, Kubica behind. Kubica not going to make a move, but is Kobayashi? Maybe not.
Very close.
Very close indeed. And then a wobble on. That's going to mean Kubica has got the pace on the exit, but still not enough to dive down the inside of Druids. Then you got Rydell and Dumas still there or thereabouts. Lammers 4th, Fisichella on board 5th, Schneider behind, Gasho behind that. Gasho a bit stagnant
then there somewhere.
Webber is 8th behind Gasho, of course. Top 3 into Hawthorne Bend. Fisichella not his best sector.
No, Schneider looks like she wants to have a go. Has a little look into Westfield. Nothing
Wide
too.
Goes Gasho, curb of death. That means Webber's going to gain.
He managed to hold his own over the curb of death, which actually gave him a bit of a momentum boost through what is actual Dingledale nowadays. Not enough to gain on Schneider. And even though Lammers is backing all of these cars up, and he is definitely the head of this train, he's still within striking distance of the top 3. They're not pulling away.
Curse of the Honda. We know they're quick, but it's still race pace that they're still suffering. Oh, wobble on from Fisichella as he tries to mount a challenge on Lammers. Oh, he should have a massive slide on then. But still, all in position. Wide a bit goes Gashu again, but down the inside, okay, round the outside of Druids, into Graham Hill. Schneider defending, but Gashu's up to 6th. Okay, lit the blue touch paper.
Gasho got a run on Schneider going into Paddock Hill, chopped the nose off, not cleanly. Schneider was then able to have a run through Druids into Paddock Hill, so that was a squabble that lasted several turns. And
we're seeing Aiello. Ingram's got to have to be defensive now. The momentum of that Renault, especially around the outside of Hawthorne, if Ingram's performance is anything to go by in race 1, defending for all that it's worth.
Yeah, Ingram with a very obviously defensive line into Hawthorne there, made sure he kept the apex, maintained or maximised momentum through Westfield, has got that gap there again from Aiello, and Lammers now pretty much on the back of the Renault. Once
Lost
again,
a bit of
bringing
momentum
everybody
from
with
Aiello.
him.
So I think there was a bit of focus lost from Aiello that's dropped him into the clutches of the Dutchman. But I think that's going to be nothing to worry about, as he's already on the pace, on the pulse, getting a gap before the new lap. We're into the second knockings of this sprint race 2.
Aiello holding on to the fastest lap as well, so once again, precious 2 extra bonus points.
Gasho getting dangerous with the battle ahead, almost thought about it. I say almost, back on board we go. Bit of a switch around with Fisichella here. Fisichella's going to get the exit wrong. driving standards. I'm keeping a close eye on that grass crate, but would it be a brave attempt? Oh, slide on. I wonder if the tyres are going already.
It's possible, especially as I said, with the colder track temperature, it might mean that the front wheel drives are just struggling to get grip in their rears or maintain the grip in their rears as the heat wears off of them.
Fisichella from the turbo boost on the halfway point of the straight that Druid's Pilgrim's Drop is on.
I think Gasho lifted slightly, is what you
Might
were
have
seeing
been,
there.
yeah. I did hear that. Why would you lift on a straight? That's what I want to know.
Get yourself a better run into the next corner, maybe. Either
Quite
way, I
possibly.
don't know. Not something I would have done for sure. Everybody's still
no
holding
Ekstrom.
station for now.
Ekstrom and Ingram are still in the same postcode. In the same, what, 3 words?
Yeah, it's still the top 8 all on one straight. So Whitman falling off the back of this, deciding to go play with the bottom half of the grid. Here goes Gasho.
Up to 5th he goes, but then Fisichella, I thought the comeback or the switch back was on. Is Gasho going to get the second? We saw Aiello do that second overtake within 2 turns, but here is Schneider watching as Alpha surprisingly beginning to lose ground, not necessarily capitulate, but Wittmann has got Thompson behind her.
Yeah, I mean, as we've been saying this entire season, this is the Alpha's only weak point is they don't like being in traffic. They don't like the dirty air of other cars. Whitman should pull away because she has clean air, of course, but Fisichella, it makes a little bit more sense being mugged by the Renault and then followed through by the BMW.
Speaking of being mugged, watch out Niki Lamas. Here's Gasho.
Now, can Gasho get himself past the Honda and make this an entirely blue and yellow top 4? I think he's got the speed to do it. It just depends on whether he's managed to maintain grip in those tyres over the course of this race.
It's a front-wheel drive top 5. Put it that way. That's not been had for quite some considerable time. Not since the Scirocco days. There are 3 to go. Well, 4 to go. Down the inside goes Gasho. It is as you predicted.
That did not take him very long at all, considering Lammers has done a very, very good job defending from a lot of different cars over the course of this entire weekend. Just maybe he's finally given up fight on that one. 5th is still good points, good result.
Still faster than his teammate, still higher up than his teammate. And on home ground as well. Thompson's going to have to ask himself some pretty serious questions here. Speaking of the other local then, Aiello still trying to pounce. Ingram, he say no.
Yeah, once again, I think Ingram's track knowledge around here and experience is going to allow him to keep those Renaults behind him.
And now they are together as well, so that defensive work needs to be double now. Gasho down the inside of Sterling's. Okay.
Not the first time we've seen a Renault civil war this season. Gasho deciding that he wants to be the man to lead the charge against the 2 Volvos. They've got to be careful because they're still not pulling away from Lammers, nor the BMs, nor Fisichella.
Top 8, same shot.
Exactly. Gasho trying to go around the outside of Paddock Hill. That could be risky. He's got himself alongside. Although Aiello... Oh, Gasho's... Okay. Swapped over. Gasho now has the point. I thought he was on the outside for Druids, but then there he was on the inside. That threw me for a loop. Aiello coming back at Graham Hill. This is just letting the Volvos get away.
Lammers is doing a bit for front-wheel drive mankind. Car kind. by blocking the
Desperately
dominant
blocking
force.
the BMWs, yeah. He's doing a good job of it. He has definitely learnt a lot of defensive techniques driving that car.
And obviously, I think they've answered our call that this is a very entertaining knockings to the end of a very fruitful Super Touring Car weekend in Great Britain at Brands Hatch. That has been, apart from these two races, been very good for the entire weekend. Everyone's got their money's worth. And there's another 2 laps to go.
Yeah, this is getting more and more frantic. I do worry we're going to potentially run the risk of having people start tripping over each other and things getting a little bit more physical, and disaster and tragedy strike some of these cars, though they've, once again, the accordion is in effect. They have spread out a little bit.
And I think Renault have managed to get their tyres to behave, as has the, I'm amazed that with Aiello putting on a similar sort of charge in race 1 that Ingram didn't have that problem. Aiello definitely did. The only driver to get it into the gravel in both races by the looks of it.
Yeah, I believe I remember seeing I think it was a Volkswagen, I forget whom, in the European series last year do the same, or something very, very similar. They just got on the brakes too late. Aiello with a
Ingram
run.
being
He's
very
going to have to go around the
defensive.
outside.
Another lap and a half of goodness to go. Ekstrom still leads. You're on board with Aiello. Ingram ahead, Gasher behind. Lama's still 5th. The sun has most definitely set, but we've still got some daylight to work with.
Yeah, it's good there's only 2 laps left, because otherwise we'd be running close to curfew time at this track. Top 4 spreading out again. Ekstrom maintaining the lead. Ingram using all of the track to make sure he gets as good of a run as possible down the start-finish straight. He wants to make sure there's as much daylight as possible between him and the Renault.
Oh,
slight nudge.
Again.
Both the Renaults had to just check up a little bit there to make sure they didn't get a slide on. That's given Volvo some breathing room.
So as far as mathematical chances are concerned, the drivers and constructors are down to the final 2 races in Japan. Signed off by Fisichella still being 8th and not any higher. Wittmann still being in P9. And this is your last lap. And this is where we are on
Aiello again.
Ingram.
He's got up alongside this time. Ingram wasn't able to go defensive or just let him through. Maybe, Ingram had
almost
other plans.
echoes of Bathurst then. Almost echoes of Bathurst with these 2 cars got together.
Ingram at this point just willing his teammate, would you please hurry up?
He'd be happy with that. Yes, a win's a win, but Ekstrom is the one that needs to get the win. Despite local bias, we want Ingram to win, of course we do. But what a day, what a race, shall we say, for Volvo in general. Drive of the drive for Anthony Ingram. What a display shot they're going to have now. 1-2 across the line, 3-4 for Renault. Not enough to do anything about the title yet. Mathematically still sound, but maths is maths and racing is most definitely racing. As one of the most surprising episodes of Whitman's season is that there's a P9 when it could so easily have been better. Kobayashi with some solid 11th places either side of the lunch break. And the solitary point, Ford, where have you been all weekend? Salo. Marcus Salo. They were declared for season 5, but this weekend for Ford, obviously the entertainment distracted how poor Ford were this weekend. I mean, we knew about Volkswagen's difficulties too. And one of the best weekends of super touring action at this venue. And long may it continue. And hopefully Japan, we see, well, we are going to see the title decided. It's just how will it pan out? And that's going to be second win for Kenny Ekstrom this season. Volvo's third win overall. And this means that with final round in mind, Wittmann leads the championship on 316 points to Fisichella 278. Still 30 points for the win, which means, it's still anyone's game. Aiello could still be in the shout, but given the form that Renault have encountered, it is just looking increasingly unlikely. Gasho in fourth as well. Mathematically sound, but once we said maths is maths. JB Webber still fifth. And then for the manufacturers, Alpha closing in. Mathematically so for Renault, but still echoes that it's not going to happen. But BMW will be surprisingly caught short for a change. One of their better seasons, of course, not the troubles of season 3, but third place in an effort, fulfill the effort. Disappointed to be third, but the battle for second is still on. And then the privateer teams, it's DHL Rennsport still. So that means whilst DHL Rennsport lead the privateer championship, the privateer drivers is still in the hands of Duma. Kubica is mathematically close, but given the form of the DHL team, Duma has effectively got one fingertip on the privateer crown as well there. Michael Swinnerton, your thoughts over this final race at Brands Hatch, and of course the entire weekend. It's been a very good one indeed for super touring all round.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a really fun pair of races to watch. I think coming into Japan, I think it's essentially Alfa Romeo's to lose. It just depends on which Alfa driver gets the driver's title. I think it's going to be more interesting to see if BMW can nick second away from Renault, perhaps. For manufacturer efforts, and obviously we want to look at the battle between Volvo and Honda to see who gets fourth and fifth. The only other note I will make is you pointed out, Ford just not being around this round. They just missed the setups on the car, both factory and privateer, just not in the points. Salo getting 1 point, which is really disappointing considering this time last year, Salo won one of these races round
Certainly
here.
did.
So we know the Ford can go quickly round here. They just completely forgot how somehow.
We would probably say it in the pre-season preview to the season that it's going to be make or break for Ford next season. If they get it wrong again, they've picked the drivers, and if it's going to be like this again, we might end up seeing a free franchise slot for season 6, perhaps, the way things are going at Ford.
Yeah, I mean, never say never on that one. Ford have said they're committed to running this program, and committed to doing other racing programs in other series. So who knows? Who knows? I don't see it going away anytime soon, but at the same time, they could probably do with a newer model of Focus showing up. That I dare say would help them a lot at this point, because that one's getting a bit long in the tooth.
And I think I'm going to have to take a breath again and have a good rest before we decide all the titles, all the action in Japan. Fuji's final venue once again. Can't wait to be there. Can't wait for you to see it either. On behalf of Michael Swinnerton, I've been Adrian Michael Reese, as per usual. It's goodbye. Good racing, everyone.